Hey everybody, it's Monster Art School. We're back again. And this week we're gonna end with Monster Art School. So we did the Kraken yesterday, and today Luna and I have discussed a couple different options, and the option we ended up with was a dragur. And a dragur is kind of fun because it's a zombie Viking warrior. So we thought it'd be fun to do something creepy and fun and, monstrous. So I'm going to get my paper out and we're going to do a zombie Viking warrior, a draugr. And draugr is spelled D-R-A-U-G-R. And it's a little darker than our usual Monster Art School stuff, but I think we'll have fun with it. Although we did draw hell earlier this week, and that's pretty dark and scary, so I think we're going to have some fun with this one. So I'm waiting for Luna to join me. She's in the other room. While I'm waiting, we're going to talk about our shapes that we're going to draw first. So a lot of the shapes we're going to draw, we're going to go back to a little bit of stuff that we've learned before. So we're going to draw a cylinder. Okay, and a cylinder is essentially an ellipse with two lines and then a matching side that matches the underside of the ellipse. So if you want this to see this part of the ellipse here, this is going to go away from us. We want to draw it the other way. We draw the ellipse here, and we can have that go away from us. And again, we do the same thing. We take that line, we put it there, and it creates the illusion that we're looking at this side of the ellipse. Now, another thing to think about is, where do we put our shadows on these objects? Well, if the object's sitting on a table, you're going to put the darkest area right there where they meet, okay? And it's called an occlusion shadow. It's basically where they meet. And then another way to think about it too is if you were going to do shading on this, you have to imagine a light source and then draw a line about halfway from side to side, and then you can shade there, and that'll actually be the darkest part of the shadow right there. And then it gets a little bit lighter underneath. Okay, so you get this kind of... The idea is that the area between the light and the dark is the darkest area. So right here is the darkest area. The other shapes we're going to deal with are a cone, which is again an ellipse, but then it comes together to a point off in the distance. And another thing that we could use is a sphere. And a sphere is different from a circle because when you draw a sphere, you always kind of consider where the light's coming from on the sphere. And if you do that, you also have to consider where that object's touching the next object. So if it's sitting on a table, you'll have the darkest area right here where they meet. And a lot of what we do here is we talk about lighting. Again, the same thing, this shadow here, it's called the core shadow. You have to think about that as being right about here on a sphere. So the deepest shadow, the core shadow, is right here between the light and the dark side. And then you could shade that in. But since Luna's not coming here yet, we're going to start drawing our draugr. Okay, so here we go. I think Luna is involved in drawing something else. So here we go. Let's have fun. So the draugr is a zombie Viking warrior creature. So we have to he's got to look like a zombie, but he also gets to look like a Viking, which makes it even more fun. So it's like a zombie in armor or something. So how are we going to pull this off? Well, I'm going to start with a head. So I'm going to draw a sphere right about here. And then I'm going to think about this. Remember how we think about these basic big shapes that we do? So we're going to think about a triangle coming from the top of that head. And that's going to basically be what we call the composition of our image. And so with the head, this being the sphere for the head, just draw a triangle coming off of the bottom of that very lightly. It doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be exact or anything. It's just there so you know where the edges of your image are. Kind of what we were talking about yesterday, wanting to have a space for our image on the page so it doesn't just take over the whole piece of paper. So now what I'm going to do is, just like we've done in past, we're going to draw a line across the center of that original sphere, and I'm going to draw a line. Now look at how I'm doing it. I'm drawing a crosshair on this sphere, but I'm making the crosshair go down. So I'm drawing this line as a half ellipse down. See, like that. And there's a reason for that, and I'll tell you why in a minute. Now the next stage is we're going to draw the chest of the dragur, and so somewhere right about here and here on both sides, like under this center line, but like right off the center there, and right off the edge of it, we're going to draw out like that, as if we're drawing one connected line through the head. And then we're going to stop right about here, and we're going to draw an opposite line that comes down from that point like that. Okay? So kind of drawing an I shape, right? And then we're going to go under and under here, and we'll connect those in the middle. And then just like we drew this center line here, we're going to draw a center line here. Okay, so we have one center line for this sphere and one center line for this shape. And right on that center line, we're going to draw about halfway, well, a little bit further than halfway down from here to here. We're going to draw a little bit further from halfway down, and we're going to draw out. We're going to draw some, just so we can give ourselves a rib cage. So that's the top of the ribs. If you feel under your chest, if you feel under, this would be your sternum, your rib cage starts right about here, and this is where your belly would be. Now from these 2 points here, remember these 2 points? We're going to draw a half ellipse around those 2 points, starting behind them and then around. So we get this kind of almost half sphere or half ellipse coming off. And then we're going to draw the hips, the pelvis. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to say the center of this chest is right here. So I'm going to put the pelvis back here. So I'm going to draw another line there. The reason I'm doing that is I want it to look like the character is leaning heavily forward. So if the pelvis is back here, it means his legs are going to be back here, and his chest is coming toward us. See what I'm saying? So when we draw that, we're going to draw down, and we're going to have this pelvis down here, and we're going to draw basically a pair of underwear. But we're going to pretend we're looking at the underwear from the top. So we'll have a lips like that, then we'll draw it down, and then we'll draw in, and then flat, and then up like that. And that's going to be our underwear. And from the underwear in here, this is where the legs come out. So we're just going to draw out here like this and out there like that. And for this shoulder, we need to decide one of these two shoulders is toward us and one of these two shoulders is away from us. So I'm going to make this one toward us. Okay? And so in so doing, I'm going to draw a whole circle there, a whole ellipse rather than only the half ellipse. So now we're getting the sense of this creature kind of moving toward us. Its legs are back here, and we'll get there soon with the legs. But I think right now, I'm going to end the drawing here. I'm imagining this guy is coming out of a swamp. Don't ask me why, I just think that he is. He's coming out of a swamp. So we can put some indications down here, just some triangles, some loose triangles down here of like swamp grass, and these ellipses down here will be where the water is breaking, where he's coming through. And now from this sphere that's the shoulder sphere, I'm going to draw an ellipse. Remember those ellipses from the other page. I'm going to draw a tube coming down like this. And I'm going to make the sides of the cylinder come in. So they're not straight. They come in and they come back out over here. And I'm going to draw another ellipse at the end of that. And then I'm going to draw a sphere. And then I'm going to draw another ellipse here. I'm going to draw out like this. And you can bring these in as well so they don't go, make them so that it looks kind of like a bone. And we'll bring it in like this here. We'll bring it out. And then at the end here, we'll put the hand like that. All right, and we'll just make the hand a circle right now. For the back arm, we'll draw a line straight down from there, and we'll put our cylinder that we put over here, we'll put it there. But this one, we're going to see the top of this one, so it's going to go away from us. And this, then we'll put that sphere that we put over there, this sphere, here for the elbow, and then we'll have the arm coming down like this. Kind of looking like it's hanging at his side. And then we can put the hand coming, maybe the hand's coming out of the water too. Now, for the legs, we're going to draw a tube here that moves down. It's going to have to be behind this hand. So I'm going to make the hand come out of the water closer to us than that leg. So the way to do that is to make the water level higher here and lower there. Okay? And with this leg, since I want this leg to come forward, I'm going to have it meet the water like that. And see these ellipses I'm drawing in here? Those are just to give me reminders that this is moving away from us and then this is moving toward us. Okay? So if the shape is going like this, it's moving toward us. If a shape is going like this, it's moving away from us. If that makes sense. So anyway, now let's get into this draugur's face. So on either side of this center T, we're going to put two large holes or ellipses. Okay? And then underneath that T, we're going to draw a triangle. Like so. Now, the next trick is we're going to go a little bit below that and we're going to draw a curved line, kind of like a smile line. Like he's smiling at us. We'll go like that. And now that we've got those three elements in there, we're going to draw under this ellipse. We're going to draw like this. Under this ellipse, we're going to draw like that. And then we're going to bring this down to that smile. Okay? And under this smile, we're going to draw a half ellipse like that. And from that half ellipse, we'll come down, draw a straight line down there. Well, not straight, but kind of curved in line there. Curved in line here, and then we'll connect it. And then from right about halfway between this line and this line, we're going to draw out and then up.
Our dog is looking.
And we'll do the same thing here. We'll go out and then up like that. Now, let's see what we got here, folks. Now we promised to do a giveaway today, and I was thinking I would give away the Jormungandr art, but I don't know how to make sure who we should give it to. So I don't know how to make that decision.
Maybe we should do that next week.
Maybe we should do it next week. I don't know. I feel bad because I feel like I keep teasing this and we haven't done it yet. I just need a reason for one person to get it and not everyone to get it. Let's figure that out. We'll think about it. So anyway, we've got...
I have an idea on how to do it, but we're going to have to build it up on the course of the week.
Oh, okay. So we've got our... Maybe we could ask a question like, what was the first creature we drew in Monster Arts?
Trivia.
Yeah, trivia. That's not a bad one. Maybe something like that. Yeah, what if we did that? Huh? Oh, wait, I know. What do we call our eraser?
Yes, exactly.
So the first person to tell us what we call our eraser in the notes of our Monster Art School will get the piece for Jormungandr from earlier this week sent to their home in the mail.
We will please when you enter your thing, please set your email or address or
email
is
well, you know what?
safest.
We'll do the
Email is
when we
safest.
choose the person. Yeah, when we choose the person, we will announce it, and then we'll have them give us their address in an email.
Via email.
Yeah. So this is what we're asking about. What do we call this? This eraser. There's another word for it that we use on our show. So if you know what we call it, if you're the first person to put it in the thing in the announcement, in the blog, you get a free piece of art mailed to you, drawn by me. So okay, now back to the dragur. So here we go. We're gonna have. So I think what would be fun about the dragur is I think he should look like he's just fought like a Viking battle, and he's come back from the dead. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna draw right above those eye sockets we drew. We're gonna draw around like this. Okay, and draw a line like that, and then we're gonna come up. And we're going to go off like this. And that's going to be his Viking helmet. And we can draw a second band. That's the same line, just kind of curved up. And we'll get rid of the eye sockets there. And then what we can do is right about here. What's wrong? What's wrong?
Nothing.
I'm going to draw in a little bit. And we're going to come across like that. So we're going to try and make this look kind of like a Viking helmet. And we'll bring it down here. And we'll go back. And we'll bring this down and back. I want to make it look like a Viking helmet, but I also want it to be kind of simple. A simpler version of Viking helmet. As opposed to a really detailed one. So now we've got what looks like the helmet. And then we can... From right under his cheekbones on both sides, we're going to come out like this. Okay, and we're going to come in like that. So we'll go out and in. And I bet you none of you know what that is. I'll tell you what it is in a second. We're going to mimic that same line over here. We're going to go out and then down and then in and then out, down, and in. Okay. Now, let's get the eye sockets in here. So we'll bring these lines in like so. And we'll, in the center of this. Don't, you told us. You said the word.
Thing. I said the thing.
Yeah. You're getting close. All right. We're going to make an inside triangle in there. And that's going to be the nose, the socket for the nose. And I think I'm going to bring this line down a little bit further. So we started with a smile, but I think from the angle we want this to go down a little bit more like that. So now you should have this kind of cool skeleton kind of thing. And then inside the eye socket, we'll draw our eyeball. Let's bring this up a little bit more. So we'll bring this around and in here like this a little bit more. There we go. Now.
We won't say the word. We won't say the word.
During the show?
We won't say the word during the show.
Nope, we won't.
Friday.
But we'll announce on Monday who got it right. So now from here, we'll draw down and around. like so. We'll draw like down, basically making them have a t-shirt kind of a thing. And we'll bring it in to there. And I think up here on his helmet, we're going to put horns. Even though it's been proven the Vikings didn't have horns on their helmets, it's a cool convention. But it's true, they did not have horns on their helmets. It was too easy for someone to grab a horn while you're fighting, and you'd be really in trouble if you had a horn on your helmet. So you might have had it for ceremonial stuff, but it wasn't on the actual fighting helmets. They didn't have them.
Wait, why was it bad to have it on fighting? Why would you be in trouble when you're fighting?
Well, imagine if you're fighting someone with a sword, right? Mm-hmm. And they can reach up and grab the horn and pull your head down. That'd be bad, right?
Yeah.
Because it's basically giving them a handlebar. You don't want to give your enemies a handlebar. So they've proven that that's not actually how they wore their helmets. But I'm doing a fantasy version, so this is fun. This is just for fun. So let's draw out here to his shoulder, and that's going to be, we're going to see the bone sticking out. And we're going to come out like this. This is creepy, man. Bone zombie characters. And then we're going to draw his elbow out here.
Chose it.
I know. Well, you said it was okay.
I didn't say it was okay. I said we should do it.
You said we should, yeah. I gave you options.
I didn't say it was okay.
I gave you options, man. Man, girl. Girl, man.
I'm a girl, not a man, Dad.
I'm a man, Dad, not a girl. I'm a girl, man, not a dad. Wait, what?
No,
I'm a girl, man, not a dad. So now what we're going to do is we're going to make this look... We're going to make these concave lines, meaning they go in as opposed to coming out. And under here, we'll just draw like a little armpit like that. And we'll draw the armor coming around. And on the armor, you can draw little straps holding the piece of armor in. So maybe there's a button here. Or not a button, what do they call it? I forget what they call that. But basically a rivet that holds it together. And we can draw down here. Now we've got his hand. And I think, what do you think, Luna? He should have a sword in his hand?
Maybe.
Yeah? So we'll put a box, or not a box, but a curved kind of a box shape like that. And that'll be the palm of the hand. Or not the palm, but the back of the hand. And then from here we'll draw 1, 2, 3, 4 knuckles. And from those knuckles, I'm going to erase this side of it. Now, one of the tricks about hands is, if you look at the way the hand works, the center finger is the longest. It's also, and you get this curve around the fingers like this. So when you bring your hand in, if you notice, a lot of people like to draw hands like where the fingers go like that. That's not really how we do it. Our fingers curl in. So if you notice, my pinky is tilted in like this, and this finger is tilted in that way. So they actually, if you drew a line from here and here, they'd actually meet each other somewhere down here. So you got to remember that when you're drawing fingers, that they don't all come straight out. So the first finger, we'll bring it to a knuckle, and we'll bring it in. Second finger, we'll bring to a knuckle, and we'll bring it in. So these are the 2 knuckles.
There are quite a few people who remember
and then,
what it is.
Oh, really?
What it is.
And then
so
we just have to choose the first one. Or maybe we draw from a hat. That's not a bad idea. You could do that. So we'll bring...
Whoever says the answer.
That, yep. And then we'll bring this one like that. So we get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines. And what you want is these to kind of come in towards the center of the hand. This one I'm going to have come out to a finger, to a knuckle, and then come to a last bit of the finger like that. And then I'm going to draw in here the handle for a sword. So the handle for the sword, we could have on the bottom, or I'm going to have the sword upside down, like he's pulling it out of the water. So we're going to have a medallion here at the end, in order to make that medallion look three-dimensional, you draw a sphere, and then you draw a second line just inside, like that, and that'll make it look three-dimensional. And that's the center of the sphere there. So if we drive that line down this way, we can draw the top part of the sword. And we'll want to match this sideline with this sideline here. So when we get over here, we're going to draw a little extra piece on the sword so it feels three-dimensional here too. And then Viking swords didn't have wide hilts. They have very shallow, very short hilts. The hilt is the part that protects the hand here. But then it comes up like this to a point, and then the sword comes out like this. There are different styles of Viking swords, so I'm just using one version. But generally, in general, you'll get a sense like this out of it. Okay. I'm going to have that go into the water down here too. So we'll just draw the water there. Now, I think it's kind of fun to have this character look like it's just kind of had ripped up war clothing. So from here, I'm going to draw a half, like a, not a half circle, like a curved line, and we'll bring it back around the arm. And then I can do another one underneath that, but I'm going to go like this, and then like that, and then in like this. And see how it kind of looks like cloth that's like hanging? And I can do another one here. I can have one coming like this. And as long as you make sure to make it look like it goes around the arm by putting this extra mark there, this will have the sense of drawing around the form. Okay, we can do the same over here. So we've got his shoulder out here. We'll draw out and around and come back up. Then we can come down. You can draw some tatters here, however you want to do it, and then come back up. You can do another one like this. And then you bring it down and then come back up. Basically all just trying to make it look like there's torn clothes. Bring this down like that. Now, let's get this back arm taken care of. We can erase that ball of the back arm, that elbow ball, and we'll just kind of have it come like this. And then we'll, now the forearm has two bones. So we'll have the two bones separated like that. And maybe he's got like a cool armor bracelet here. So we'll draw a cylinder. Remember how we drew cylinders? We just draw a cylinder, but we draw a cylinder with the hand sticking out like that, see? So we can do the same here. We can have draw an ellipse, and then we can bring this out here, and we can make it into a cylinder that goes around his hand. Now, one of the cool things about Vikings, or the stories of Vikings and old Anglo-Saxons as well, was that there was a whole, what would you call it? Not ritual, but a whole style of wearing bands. So you'd have metal bands that your king would give you, and they were meant to show status, and frequently they were made of gold. So maybe he has a metal band on his wrist here. It shows that he was an honored warrior when he was alive. Da-da-da! We could do another one back here. And as long as you just make sure that you're drawing, so it looks like you're drawing around the other object, you're good to go. Okay, now, let's get the metal plate of the chest in. So we'll pretend that up here there's a strap, and we'll come down like this, and then we'll draw the other strap there. So you have this metal piece that comes up and around, and you have your strap. And then we'll go in here, we're gonna, just to give the impression of ribs, we'll draw a piece like this. And what that is these pieces here, these parts here, 1, 2, 3, 4, and this are all separations between the bones. We can draw shadows in there, just so it feels like, ooh, spooky in between the bones there. Just fill that in dark. Now, we got to get that lower body figured out first before we go too much further. Oh, and we should probably put the other bone in. So we'll put the other bone behind this bone here, just so that it hides. And then here we'll mimic this line with this line here, which is the end of the armor. And then for the lower legs, let's go from here on the leg. We'll come down like so. And we'll come down like so. And we'll do the same over here. We'll come from here, we'll hang down like this and bring that up. And then from this corner here, we can bring this out and then down like that. And we'll do the same kind of idea that we're drawing over and around the form to create the leg. So we go over and around the form like that. And we'll do the same down here, drawing around the form. And so what this is like they used to wear kind of a long shirt of mail underneath their armor sometimes. So I'm going to do that. And then right here we'll put a circle, well, a sphere, a half sphere. And that's going to be his belt. We'll draw around like this and we'll show a belt. Now, uh-oh, what's wrong? You dropped your pencil?
I dropped the pencil. Yes.
Now for the back leg here, I'm not going to worry too much about it. I'm just going to draw the leg like that. And we'll just let that go. Maybe we'll draw a few little pieces like this off the bottom of the leg, just to make it look like there's torn cloth. So if we want it to look like he's wearing pants, because Vikings wore pants, we'll have it go like this. So really these are just like 3 triangles and we're drawing over the form. So you curve it to make it feel like it's 3-dimensional. Then down here we can go down, up, around like that. Kind of show where the cloth is meeting the water. And then in here, we're going to make this dark. And we're going to bring long triangle, another long triangle, and then we're going to go like so.
I have an idea so that nobody gives it away to other people.
What?
Maybe they would privately chat with you.
Oh, that's a
to
good
give
point.
the
Yeah,
answer.
it occurred to me that, yeah, if they write it, they're going to...
If they write it in the comments.
They write it in the comments.
No,
Yeah, you can direct message me. How's that?
direct
So
message.
you can direct message me in Facebook with your answer to the question of what do we call our eraser?
And it might be different questions because it would
Well,
be
no, it's what do we call the eraser? That's the question for this one.
this week.
Yeah,
But
this
it's going
week.
to vary for next week.
Right.
The next
Oh yeah, next time we do it, it'll be a different question. And if you answer it correctly, you get
well,
a free piece of art. I'm going to send you Jormungandr
us
that I did last week. Yep.
this week, actually.
This past week, yeah. So now we should have the basic outline figure of the zombie. And then what we're going to do is we're going to start kind of getting rid of these extra lines. So we're going to get rid of all this extra stuff. And what I'm going to do first, before I get too far into this, I'm going to get rid of these extra lines in here in the fingers and all that in here, just so we can see the hand. What I'm going to do next is down here where we meet the water creates ellipses whenever something comes out of it. So if you draw, imagine the hands coming here. If we draw, and we see that ellipse there, if we draw an ellipse around that, and another ellipse around that, it makes it feel like a 3-dimensional object is coming out of the water. And so we can do the same thing here. We can draw an ellipse around the leg here and an ellipse around the leg there. We don't even need to draw the full ellipse. In fact, leaving parts of it open gives more of an impression of the water than putting full ellipses. So leaving little breaks in the line, okay, will give it more of an impression of water. And so here we'll do the same thing. We'll draw a line that kind of mimics. In this case, we're not going to do an ellipse. It's an ellipse for a hand or something that's rounded. But for the cloth, we're just going to draw another line underneath the cloth that follows the line of the cloth. You don't even have to do much more than that. And you can see already, just by doing that, it makes it feel like you're creating the reflection in the water. See? So for the sword, we'll go like this, and we'll have it. Now, next trick. How do we finish this piece off? So what I'm going to say to that is... What's going on, Lynn? Anyone ask any questions?
No.
No? Okay. So what I'm going to say to that is we're going to go and let's start darkening things in. And then we'll put in some details. Hello. So right here on the face, we're going to throw some teeth. So we're going to right from the center, we'll go 1 up, 2, 3, and then we'll do the same 1, 2, 3, 4. You can make them get skinnier as they go back, okay? And that's what gives it the impression of it moving around. And then from here, we can do the same thing. We can come around, down, down, down. It kind of gives us the impression of a lot of teeth in the mouth like that. And if you want to get rid of one of the teeth, that works too. So I might just do that. I'll just go like doop, like that. And then he's like missing a big tooth. And we'll get another one out here. We'll get another tooth out there. Okay, just knock out some teeth. It's fun, knocking out teeth. And then back here, we're going to draw kind of an open space here. That's the open space where your cheek fits. So we're going to make this dark. And we're going to bring in around like this. What's wrong, Luna?
Nothing.
Okay, you sure?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sure.
You started saying, like there was a problem.
No, there isn't a problem at all.
Okay.
I moved myself.
So you see how we left that open, right? So we're going to do that. And then we'll fill in the nose here with dark. And what we can do to make it feel a little bit more three-dimensional is just draw like that. And that kind of gives the indication that we're looking down on the bone in the nose. We're going to go here. I'm going to make this dark. Like so. So that's the eye socket. Ooh, creepy dragur. And then we're going to darken this line up here to make it nice and dark. Okay, and then in here with the eye, you can kind of put a pupil if you want. Or you can just fill it in black, however you want to do it. I think it's creepy to have the eyes in there. And then the helmet's going to drop some shadow over the face here. So we'll just get rid of the helmet area there. Or the cheek area there. And I want to light this cheek up like that. The cheekbones. Doing okay, sweetie?
Yeah, fine.
Okay. And then remember these two triangles we had here? Well, those are the inside of his armor. They have an armor piece that goes around your head. It's cloth. Well, or it's mail. Mail is a metal, like it's a cloth woven from metal rings. Or sometimes they would make scale mail, which would be a cloth with scales of metal laying on top. And I think I like the scale mail idea better. So scales are essentially rounded triangles like this, just like you're drawing fish scales. So they go like this and like that, and then you can draw them down.
Our dog's being a little bit buggy.
She's being nosy. I mean, she wants to go out.
She's being a nosy dog. Go away.
And so we go like this and around like that. And then we can fill this in dark. Okay. Then we can do the same over here. Fill this in dark. You eating potato chips?
I stole one.
Are you eating potato chips? My daughter's stealing potato chips. And then
One
we'll make
potato
scales.
Just
Okay. Scream in my ear too. It's nice. I like that. I never needed that hearing in that ear anyway. So we'll make more fish scales like this. We can keep going down like that.
We would actually love to see your drawings.
Oh, I always love to see your drawings. Even if you went crazy and went in a whole different direction with your drawing, I always love to see them.
Yeah.
So now in the center of the helmet here, we're going to draw a line that kind of mimics this outer edge of the helmet here. We're going to draw in here like this. We're going to bring it around, and I'm going to fill that in dark. But only the outside edge of it, like that. And I'm going to fill this in, but I'm going to make it lighter. Okay? I want this outer area darker. I want this inner area lighter. And I'm going to draw a line here, a second line for the helmet. And then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to make it a little wider, like this. And we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to make it dark here. You're crunching in my ears. Please don't do that. That's really gross, honey. I don't need to hear you crunching in my ear, and I don't need other people coming into my studio and interrupting things. So now I'm going to shade this in here. So there. And if we want to make the skeleton have a little bit more detail on it, we can draw like little extra lines here like this. Just following the contour of the skeleton. Now, here we have, this is going to be like a piece that's attached to the metal where the helmet is attaching the horn to the helmet. So we'll put like a nail there and a nail there and a nail there. That's holding it in. So a nail here, make this a little wider than the horn. A nail here and a nail there. And then we'll have the horns come out like this. And we'll do the same over here. We'll go horns come out like that. So now, let's see what we have. We have a zombie warrior. Let's make his chin a little darker so we can see it better. And then let's say, since there's all this shadow on the front here, I'm going to put a shadow under the chin here so we can see how the chin is shadowed. And we'll make sure that the ribs, the darkness between the ribs, is darker than the shadow that we drew. Okay? So we make these nice and dark, and then we draw this darkness there. I'm just getting the mouth a little darker. I like it being black in there. Then we have the armor. And for the armor, we'll do the same thing. We're going to draw, just like we did over here, I'm going to draw a secondary line underneath that.
Thank you, Jeff Nelson.
And then we're going to shade this in. What did Jeff Nelson say?
He said, we're the best thing going on in FB Live.
Oh, that's awesome. Thanks, Jeff. And I'm going to shade this in over here. And right about here, I'm going to draw a circle, and we'll go, or not a circle, a half line, and then we'll fill that in dark. And basically, I'm imagining is the whole front of this guy is in shadow. So that means that I can make all of this part of his body dark. Like so. Okay? So the darker that gets, the more creepy it looks. And that means also, I'm going to leave the belt kind of shiny, but I want to be able to see the top of that belt. So remember what we did with this when we saw the side of the sword there? We're going to do the same thing here. We're going to draw another line inside that one line that just follows the ellipse like that. And now we're looking at the top of the belt, and we can draw some marks on there. And we'll do the same thing on the belt as well as the buckle. So we'll make that line there, and we'll make this dark. Now in here we can come in, and we'll do some shadows in here. What did Jacob want, hon? Yeah, he wanted to tell you that that Mom bought Luza.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow, I'm so glad he interrupted us for that.
Yeah.
So important for what we're doing.
Oh, that's awesome, Ted Pebborn.
What did he say?
He said...
Oh, I never scanned in a drawing for him.
What?
He wanted to ink the Hella drawing, and I never scanned it in for him.
Anyways, these have been the best parts of my afternoon.
Oh, I'm so great. I'm so glad to hear that. I'm glad to hear that. That's great. Please share it if you like it, because I'm thinking about doing these maybe a little bit more regularly. Well, I'm already doing it pretty regularly, but as a regular gig. So the more people I get to watch it, the more I can make this possibly keep going longer. Because I've been doing it for quarantine, but it's making it hard to get my work done to do all of these. So I'm trying to figure out a way of maybe making it a little part of my work day. So if I can do that, the best way to do that is to make sure that more people see it. So if you share it with as many people as you can, that'll really help. So we've got that done. Now, in here, let's see, we got this shaded area here. Let's get this area shaded back here. And what we want to do is, see how we're making these triangles? But I'm curving them. And the idea of this curves is that they're pointing to the top up here where the cloth is hanging from. So the cloth is hanging from right about the hip. So you might even see one over here, like that. And then we can draw, as it approaches the water, we can draw little lines like this to show that it's getting darker down there. And then I'm going to fill this in black. And then we can do the same, some more of these lines, because the idea is that it's hanging from up here coming down. So some more of those lines there. The eraser's over there, honey. And we can add some more
I brought it over there.
lines here.
Or did I?
Like that. No, it's in here, I think. Oh, you brought it over there. Okay, you did. You ran away with it. Okay. Now, let's get... I'm going to go in here and erase these extra little lines. So we know this is the leather piece that hangs around the armor. And we'll put some texture on that. And then this, we're going to say this is a leather cuff. So it's going to come like this, whereas this is the gold band. So the leather cuff, we're going to put a line on it where the leather meets. We can put a rivet where they have attached the leather. And we can draw cracks in the leather going up like this. And then if you want to show some rendering, some shading, you can do that too. That just makes it feel like it's a leather cuff and give that a little bit of a shine. And these metal bands here, they need to look like they're three-dimensional, so giving them that extra line gives them that three-dimensional sense. And then since we want it to be metal, we're going to draw a dark shape, almost a half of a half moon, right? Like that, and we'll do another one here like this. And somehow, by some miracle, it makes it look like it's metal. So we do another half moon and a half moon there. It's basically kind of approximating reflection on a reflective surface. This is more of a cartooning way of doing it than a legitimate drawing way, but that's stuff I like. So now we're gonna get these bones in. You can make these kind of look, you can make them look, the more texture you put on them, the more old and beaten up they look. So you can draw like textures along them, kind of give the sense of the quality of the bone material, that it's not like smooth. And then here, I can draw the bottom of that bone as it meets this bone here like that. And then just have these hanging cloths here. If you want, you can draw, like I'm going to do, draw like a triangle back here and fill it in dark. And it just makes it look like there's more material hanging. If you want to make it more jagged, you can. Just to make it look like there's cloth hanging back here. Always trying to leave these extra kind of things back there for the imagination to fill in. So we'll throw like a shadow here so that we can see that the cloth is hanging over the arm. We'll do the same up here. We'll throw a shadow here. So one little trick of doing a shadow is, notice I leave it so that the point of the original shape is here, but the shadow point is just underneath, and that makes it look like the material is hanging over it rather than hanging right against it. Okay, and then we'll do a shadow under here. All right, so now we're cooking with steam. I think this is my favorite one yet for Viking week.
Ooh,
or Norse week.
Zombie week. They're ready to
A whole week of zombies? Maybe. So now,
they're ready to
something you can do from here is you can draw some little lines that come out, kind of make the cloth feel three-dimensional. So little lines like that can help do that. And then fill in these interior shadows in here. And then again, put some of those silhouettes. I don't know, are there a lot of different zombies?
There's cat zombies, there's dog zombies.
That's true. At a certain point, you're drawing a cat with skeleton eyes, right? It's not... You're not really... I mean, I guess we could try and change it around a little bit. We already did an undead cat earlier this week. I mean, this month.
Yeah, we did.
So now this back arm,
Actually,
I'm going to let it go...
Actually, last month.
Was it that long ago?
It's May 8th.
Oh, maybe it was last month. So we're going to go and we're going to silhouette this arm back here because we don't really need to see this bone. We just need to know that it's there. And by making it a silhouette, we bring the knuckles of this hand forward. So just by toning that back, the hand kind of comes into what they call relief. And then we can see the whole hand. All right? And I'll do with that with part of this, these bones. So I'm going to draw a curved arc like that. And I'll shade this in here. That should give the impression that these are three-dimensional bones. And we'll do the same. We'll put some shadows there, some shadows there. And then on this cuff, it's the same kind of cuff he's got there. So we'll draw that line going down the middle, the seam, and we'll put a snap or a gem or whatever that holds it together. Make it look three-dimensional by putting that extra line on it like that. And then we'll put some textures on the cuff and then put a shadow line on the cuff. And this one needs a shadow line too, like right about there. I'll do this one right like this. And sometimes when you put a shadow line on one side of an object, you can put another one on the other side of the object, which implies the light is hitting here. On this one, we would do it like this, so that the light's hitting here. Yep, what's up? Ooh. Oh, that's cool. Why is she holding a carrot up to her nose?
It's not a carrot.
It's a knife.
No.
What is it?
Something we draw with?
Oh, it's a pencil. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. I couldn't tell. Oh, now I can see it's a pencil. You didn't have any details on it before. I'm the meanest dad ever. So underneath these scales, if you want to go crazy, you can draw shadows underneath each scale. That gets maddening after a while if you draw a lot of scales, but you can do it. Now, let's get...
I scan this in later?
Not at all. Let's get these fingers drawn in. What?
And then color it.
Yeah. Let's get all these fingers drawn in. And what I like to do is I draw them, rather than straight tubes, I draw in. So they come in between the knuckles, which makes them look more like bones. We can bring these around like this. And always put a second line like that that shows where the bone meets the back, the finger bone meets the bone of the hand here. And you can draw this like that. And fill in these holes in the hand. They're not really holes, but they are separations between the bones of the back of the hand. And we can draw around like this and say that it's attached somehow by magic, I guess. In between these fingers, let's put some shadows. Like that. And under here, I'll go around like that. And that way, it makes it feel like it's three-dimensional. And then, if we want to make the sword feel more textured or more interesting, we can put a cap up here, which we will then turn into a metal cap by putting some high reflective lines there. And then we can draw lines across and around. Don't go straight, make them around. But what's interesting is that the more I add this texture here, the more it'll make the hand come around and look more three-dimensional. What are you doing?
Just sitting down looking.
Okay. So now we've got the dragur coming in here. And let's see now. The only thing left right now is this other hand. So I think the idea would be, let's go make, we're going to get back to this shape here. We're going to go draw a triangle shape there. And then we can just kind of indicate the dark shapes between the bones there. And we'll indicate up like that. And where the cuff casts a shadow over the hand, we'll do that. Okay, now we've got him kind of done. I think it'd be neat to have something like we were talking about grass before. So I'll throw some curved triangle shapes here to make it look like there's grass coming out. Like he's coming out of the swamp, right? Or maybe a moor is more appropriate than a swamp. He's coming out of a deep moor. Or a peaty bog. And notice that as I do that, what's cool is that it starts to create a sense of depth here. So watch as I'm making them, I'm overlapping the grass and letting it look like some of the grass goes behind some of the other pieces of grass. See? And then back here, kind of want to make it feel like he's coming out of the darkness. So what we'll do is we'll I'm going to draw a line up like this, come into there, and I'll draw a line like this. Actually, I'll do that on both sides. Let's do that straight line. We'll draw like kind of a squiggly line. Okay, and we'll make it have like lots of angles and jags and kind of stuff like that. We'll bring it all the way around. And up and around and over. And we'll do the same thing here. We'll go jaggedy line. If you want, every once in a while you can go down really far and come up, down, and then up and like that. You can kind of do that. And now what we're going to do is we're going to shade from that line down. So what we're doing is we're creating a background, and it's supposed to be off in the distance. So it's going to be darkest where it meets the sky, and then as it comes down away from where it meets the sky, I'm going to let it go turn into just a light texture. So it's going to be darker here. And to kind of create the sense of there being a mist in the sky, I'm just going to make this in the air, I'm going to make this get lighter as I come down. Notice the way I'm making it lighter is I'm not drawing any lighter with my pencil, but I'm separating the marks out. So as I come down, I can separate these marks out even more. And as I separate the marks out more, they get lighter and lighter, see? So we'll do the same thing over here. We'll get dark up here. Yes, Linda, why are you hitting me on the arm while I'm trying to draw?
I'm not hitting you.
Or are you tapping me on the arm while I'm trying to draw? Sorry, it's hard to draw and be tapped. What's going on?
Oh, never mind.
You sure?
Yeah.
Okay. So now I'm going to go fill this in here.
When would you per se be done?
Very soon. And then I'm going to just bring this down, get a little lighter. Why do you ask?
I'm just wondering.
Do you need to go?
No?
Okay. And we'll leave it like that, just so that we have enough light area underneath to kind of create this. And this should give the sense of fog. So if you want to really push the fog sense, just go in with your eraser and just pull out the edge of the bottom there. See, like that. And now, except for a few other things, I think what I'm going to do is this. Just draw some straight lines coming down from these arcs. Like that. And kind of mimic the object that you're reflecting. You can do that down. And then you kind of have your finished zombie warrior. And I'm going to sign it down here.
Yeah.
And I always put a little exclamation point because I had fun. I want to remember that I had fun drawing. And I hope you guys had fun drawing with me too. So remember, if you know what we call our eraser, send me a direct message. And the first person who sends me that direct message to Steve here at Facebook will get a piece of art sent to them in the mail. It's going to be one of the drawings from one of our classes. Okay? So see you later. Thanks for coming. I'll be back. We'll be back next Monday doing more Monster Art School. And 2 o'clock every Monday. I mean, every weekday, at least so far. And please share this. Post it to places. Let people know that we're doing this. And if you're watching from YouTube, subscribe and comment on YouTube. And look for the Monster Art School with Steve Ellis page on Facebook. Because eventually we're going to be moving over there. Okay? Are you destroying my studio? The Destroyer of Worlds is back. All right. I got to go. Bye.